They're eroding libraries. You know right now you can't borrow much money on a library? Think about that. Look at MGMUA, $4.7 billion in debt. Nobody's even hit the $2 billion mark in offering them, to buy their library. Why? Because libraries are depreciating like crazy. So if libraries are depreciating, what are we doing? Where's the value proposition? And I'm coming to the conclusion that in music, film, everything else, there's the primary event and other. The primary event in music is the concert. You didn't say recording. No, the concert. In the motion picture business, we're lucky because the primary event can be shared on many, many, many screens. It's right here. Someone's calling me. Oh, my God. Sorry, I didn't turn the cell phone off. And if you want to cell phone me, go ahead. You have to know my number, though. Well, in the end, other seems to be consuming an awful lot of people's attention. But if you're a filmmaker and you've been relying on the other, and the film business is moving so that the movies that wind up on theaters are theatrical, and this is the main stage again, like the 1950s, and you're building your business plan based upon this, what's wrong with this picture? I ask young filmmakers, how are you going to market your movie? And they say, well, the internet. I said, why don't you use a telephone? What does that mean? Viral marketing. Oh, H1N1? No? Wrong? I'm going to reach the peer leaders. Okay, who are they? Are they always the same people? How do you know who likes your movie? Well, I know. Well, how? Well, I'm making it for these people. Well, do you know they like it? Well, they'll like it. Okay. We have a lot of interesting things in marketing and the real-time information we're getting. The movie business doesn't have it. But we are finding things that are very fascinating, and that is testing marketing campaigns. Remember the way you used to do it? Oh, they still do. People create a marketing campaign. They do 5 or 6 trailers, 5 or 6 spots. They do some focus testing with bad samples. And then they sit around and pick the one they think is the best. And then they go with it. That's not how you market today. Today, you can ask the audience to rate. You can go out to a huge sample. You can present a lot of information to them. You can have people interact, vote, shape, create. You can ask the audience to build your ad campaign. But you have to be relevant to them. And you have to be relevant to them as a potential event. And the audience will tell you what they want. Because right now, the one thing Hollywood is doing very, very, very badly is listening to their audience. We basically try to find filmmakers that we think have affinity for the audience and trust their instincts to provide product for that audience. And no, you can't ask the audience, what kind of film should I make? Tell me the kind of script it should be, because that's not how movies are made. But it is important to understand that in marketing of movies, the big question for motion picture makers, how do I find my audience? Who is my movie and event for? And how do I get them to know that? And every single movie is an entirely new product line that has never existed before in the history of the universe. Maybe if it's a sequel, I take that back. But for the most part, it's a new product line. And yet we tend to approach a motion picture as if it were something that is appropriately placed on a marketing conveyor belt. Filmmakers say, here's my movie. I've done a wonderful job. Adore me. I'll go to the film festivals. I'll take the questions from the audience. I will radiate in the luxury of my creative excellence. I will step up to get golden bears and round things and square things and glass things. But you asked them to market the movie, to embrace marketing with the same unique creativity that gave rise to the making of the movie in the first place. And they look at you, marketing soils my clothes. I cannot tell you how many very, very prestigious directors, producers, and actors resent marketing. They believe it is art and it should stand on its own and be loved and appreciated and adored. And if the people don't get it, well, they're dumb. Then again, if I'm a painter, I'm probably not asking someone for 15, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 million dollars for paint. Maybe I am. Maybe it's a really big canvas. And this conflict between art and business has never been more intense. Because if marketing requires me to spend tens of millions of dollars to go in the door, and the artist is saying my art is worth that, that is a conflict. And I've lived my whole life as a translator between the conflicts of creative people and the business organizations, and those conflicts are never easily resolved. But when you're sitting there as a young independent filmmaker, you know what? You got to learn marketing. You got to know how to make the moments. You got to know how to create a ride. You got to know how to take the moments out of your ride with the characters and the stories you've told and figure out how somebody's going to sell it. You have to find out who out there is passionate enough about what you've got, who you're making the movie for. By the way, if a filmmaker ever tells you, I'm making a movie for everybody, that filmmaker is out, gone. Who are you making a movie for? Who do you think you're making a movie for? Why do you think you're making a movie for that audience? I'm making it for myself. Next, out. Okay. It's okay, I'm putting it on my parents' credit cards. It's a good way to do it. How do you test your movie? How do you find out who is the audience for your movie? Well, you have a theory. Okay. Go out and get those people and see how they respond to your movie. Test it. There are companies out there, OTX, NRG, they do this for a living. Test your marketing. If it's for a younger audience, plant the seeds. Well, Paranormal Activity did that. That was called the that was Blair Witch 3. And it's fascinating when people think they've discovered a new marketing technique, Paranormal Activity being one of those films. Cost anywhere from $11,000 to $15,000, depending on whom you believe. It generated $110 million in the US box office. Sat around for a year and a half while Paramount, DreamWorks decided what to do with it. But how many filmmakers come to you and say, yeah, mine is the next Paranormal Activity? Have you ever heard that? Has anybody told you that their next whatever it is to compare it to something else? Well, let me throw out a challenge to everybody here who tries to create business plans. If your numbers are pre-September 15th, 2008, and you're doing regression analysis, you're committing fraud. And you all do it. Because we don't have a lot of numbers that are after 2008, but the numbers changed. The structure's changed. We don't live in the same world. So what you have to do is take the numbers from pre-2008, plug them into contemporary vectors, what's going on, and then layer on top of that trend analysis. Does that sound complicated?